Hello, great ones. Welcome back to another episode of the Live and Be Great podcast. I am your host, Latonya McDonald, spiritual and psychological life coach. And today, I know we are in some hard times, but like I told myself in one of my darkest moments, if I'm going to be here, as in live on this earth, I'm going to give life my best shot, no matter what. Okay? And today, I want to speak about the disappearing act that a lot of us have unfortunately done based off of maybe our childhood experiences, our upbringings, our cultures, our heart, how we're made, the disappearing that we do to make other people in the room more comfortable. I, that oftentimes, the same is not returned, just isn't. And I want to try to provide you with some tools to stop disappearing and then start the process of how to retrain people how to treat you, because that is a thing. When you become who you need to become in order to achieve your goals and your aspirations and the overall experience of life that you want to have, when you step into that version of yourself that you are destined to be, the people who you have accumulated around you, they have a version of you that they're used to. And before you step into, well, actually, while you step into that version of yourself, the better version, the great version of yourself, you are going to need to retrain them and they need to step in line, right? But first thing before we do that is notice, we have to notice where we have been disappearing. Me, for instance, the examples I can give you is disappearing at home, because oftentimes for me, because I'm so empathetic, extremely empathetic, and according to ChatGPT, too empathetic, would give the person, whoever's in the room, the whoever's the loudest, I should say, in the room, the space, because being an empath, your consciousness, your spirit, your emotions tend to be aware and hyper aware of danger and changes of behavior in order to protect yourself. So when you notice, say for instance, a parent comes home upset, fussing about everything, threatening to throw things away or whatever the case may be, depending on your situation, you put your shield on, right? And some people, they fight or flight, right? You get to rushing around like you feel it in your body. You don't say the things that you need to say when the environment or the person feels unsafe. So you let them have the floor. And then they get used to it. And then everybody else gets used to it. Or the you tell yourself that if you express yourself, you are being a burden to someone else, that you have already identified struggles more than you, or for some reason is struggling with something or treating you a certain kind of way where you feel like you are You have to be understanding because they don't understand themselves. And because you understand yourself, even though you make a choice every day not to be a bad person, you have that compassion for that person who hasn't figured themselves out yet. But the truth of the matter is oftentimes that person has figured themselves out, or I think what I'm trying to say, oftentimes you assume that that person can't control themselves. The thing is, you have trained them in a way, or you have trained people in a way to where they feel as though you are the one that they don't have to keep themselves together for. You are the one to drop everything on. And if you say something about it, then you're being dismissive of their feelings or dismissive of their story, or you don't you're less empathetic, right? And empathy, it does not, you can have empathy for somebody and not disappear. You don't have to. You don't have to always disappear. And that's something that I thought for sure that I had to do. But when you don't speak up or you don't feel it's safe to speak up, you can feel it in your body. You can feel like your chest is getting tight, and you could feel drained, and you will build resentment. You will even sometimes become numb, and the numb is only temporary. It can still show up in other places when you are keeping silent and not voicing how you feel. And if the peace cost you your voice, that's not real peace. It's not peace for you at all. It just isn't, because you just co-signed that person continuing to behave how they want to behave with you. And I've definitely, for sure, have been teaching people throughout my life that I can tolerate anything. I have, until I blow up. Now, if I blow up, it is the end of the relationship. It's done. I mean, it is the hardest thing to do with family. It's very, very difficult to do with family, but with friends, yeah, it's the end. If you cause me to blow up because I just want to be happy and love people, that is my Piscean authentic nature, is to just love. That is it. If you make me be upset, if you make me angry, if you make me snap at you, it's very, very difficult. Now I'm learning to be more upfront with who I am, what I will tolerate and what I won't tolerate. I'm learning to be more upfront with that and what I need, and if I'm going to be in close relationship with anybody, if I'm going to trust them, if I'm going to support them, I require support in these particular ways. Fill in the blank. But the things that I normalized should have been boundaries. They should have been. And you know what's interesting? When we go back into my charts, my often people who have my same mask, that Scorpio mask, we oftentimes people they don't know what they're looking at oftentimes. And if it's a water sign, period, based off of your rising sign, people tend to project onto you what they want to see. It's a reflection, basically, like you're looking into the water. To give an example of what, you can kind of think that means. But whatever they want to see, that's what they see. And if they don't know what they're looking at, they're either going to go and examine it, or they're going to just stare and be afraid, or they're going to attack, right? And I experience all of those, all of those throughout my life, which makes me upset. But there has to be a reason why I chose that mask. And when you do your chart, when you figure out your placements, is very, very helpful when you look at it as a soul contract and you try to figure out, okay, why did I choose these particular positions, right? That's sidebar. But a lot of things where a lot of instances, a lot of things that have happened to me, it hmm, now my mask, I can't really help. I can't really help. Like that's sometimes you can't really help how you look. If somebody decides to come up to you because they like how you look, and say if you get that response all the time and you feel safe, your energy seems safe, and they come and they tell you their whole life story, right? And they tell you your whole life story, or somebody just may, bump into you or, say something mean to you out of nowhere. All those things, oftentimes, if it's off first glance and they're not speaking to you, they're not doing the depth. Sometimes it is rejection is protection, right? Sometimes it truly, truly is. But I'm talking about the part is when the people who did get to know me, they got to know that version of me that would push to try to understand them if I was hurt by something that they did. And I was speaking about this with a client, and it was not that I'm overly sensitive where, I am hurt by how somebody is treating me. It is not necessarily what they're saying or doing. It is the thing that gets me upset is the audacity. I want to know, what am I doing to make you feel like it is okay to treat me like this? No, I need to change that. Now I know that I could change it. Used to be, part of that depression and that closing off and that disappearing. Let me turn myself down some more. Let me turn myself down, 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 and down. Right? That's the disappearing. Let me make myself smaller and smaller and smaller so that I can protect myself from this reaction. And you appear as strong to those people. So they feel like you can take anything outside of the people who first meet you and don't like you. I'm talking about the people who have decided to be your friend or have decided to spend more time with you if they're a family member, have co-workers, whoever, anybody that's going to be spending time with you. They identify you as a strong one. They can even identify you as a strong one based off how you look. Me being a Black woman, a darker skinned Black woman, I appear to be the superhero. Okay? Right? I appear to be the superhero. And I'm plus size. So even when I was younger, I always had like really strong calf muscles and I was a tomboy. It just, she can do anything. Look at her. Right? And they pile and pile and pile and pile things onto you based off of that perception of you and you not speaking up. And sometimes, I'm not even gonna hold you. I can't lie. Sometimes when you do speak up, because they've seen you take and take and take, by the time you speak up, it's too late. They don't believe you. I've had I've spoken up and had people put more on me. I've spoken up and had people still treat me the same way as if I never said what I said, right? Treat me the same way or worse. Or try to convince me that it's not that, right? It's hard work, but you got to be consistent. You got to be relentless when you're teaching people, when you're retraining people how to treat you, when you're standing up for yourself. Once you decide and you deserve it, though, once you decide you deserve to take up space and be yourself and voice your concerns, then and only then you can be relentless. And there's the big difference. There's a big difference between privacy and because I like to think of myself as an open book, but there's a difference between privacy and disappearing. And me, I would just remove myself from the situation. Any group that I was in, if there was somebody that I had beef with, I would be like, hey, or me and somebody didn't get along. Hey, if you want to invite them, don't invite me. And I try to never tell anybody you can't be friends with that person. But if the character is really that bad, if the character is really that bad, and I feel like it just harms individuals, period, you might get cut off too. Maybe I could love you from afar, but if you still have that person in your life, and that person may treat you perfectly, right? But I don't know, depending on what type of person it is, yeah, I just I would rather remove myself. But I feel as though when I say there's a difference between privacy and self-erasure, I'm somebody who didn't like to post because, most people post their highlights. I was afraid of my highlights, which everybody does. I was afraid of my highlights discouraging somebody that doesn't have a highlight at the moment that I post mine. And come to find out, the people who I was worried about, because what the truth is not just I'm worried about them feeling discouraged about their life. It was me being attacked for being happy, because that's happened my whole entire life too. If people look at me, they're gonna be people that they may feel like they're better than you. There's always gonna be somebody that feels like they're better than you, and if they're not happy, there's no way you should be happy. There's no way you should be succeeding. There's no way you should have this one thing that they feel they have more that you should have that you shouldn't have it. No, no, right? That's part of what racism is, any phobia. A lot of it has that underlying nature, if we're being honest. If we are being completely honest, a lot of that has that. I don't want this person, because I've been taught that this type of person should suffer and I should have the privilege. I feel like I'm better than this person. I have the complexion for the protection. I, have these many degrees. I make this amount of money. This person who doesn't have half the stuff, less than half, they don't even have 10% of the stuff that I have. Why are they smiling right now? That is what, that is what, you know, unfortunately, as society, it's always gonna be somebody. It's always gonna be somebody. But that part, you disappear. Don't be too loud. Don't be too much, because you're gonna trigger somebody. Now I'm learning to not care. I'm learning to not care, because that's their problem, not mine. So if I want to be in a space, if I want to wear bright colors, if I want to be a therapist, be a life coach, and be a dancer, an actress, be into music, be into crafting, everything, all the things that I do, and let people know about it, right? That's me showing up and not disappearing, right? Privacy is that protection, but I'm not protecting people from my existence anymore. That's what that means. So if you are so upset that I'm a dark-skinned Black woman with blue hair and it upsets you, that's your business. Talk to your therapist or your life coach about that. Had nothing to do with me whatsoever. Okay? Yeah. Um, so you learn this. I think you learn it. You learn it from school. You learn it from family, your childhood trauma, right? Back to the chart, I or my charts. I am a life path one, I'm a leader. And in my astrology chart, I have trauma around speaking. Childhood trauma. It's in there, right? It's called I have a Chiron. Chiron is your childhood trauma, your experience with with your siblings. And I have a Chiron and Gemini. Gemini rules communication. Every time I do this podcast, every time I have a session with a client, I'm healing that version that feels as though my voice sounds too funny. I just need to shut up and not say anything. I need to be subconscious about how I speak and what I say. I'm healing that part every time, right? Somewhere we've learned in that childhood, in our experiences, that because we're misunderstood or we feel misunderstood, we should just be quiet and just let people hurt us. No, no more. And sometimes, yeah, some of those, it is really painful because some people, if you've noticed, like I've noticed, some people just choose to misunderstand you. They don't want to. They've painted you this way and you're supposed to stay right there, period. Whether it's negative, positive, whether it suits them, whether it makes them look like the hero or the good person, they've painted you that way because it makes them feel safe. Forget your safety. And they've convinced you that the only way you're going to stay safe if you let me identify you this way. That's the only way. No, that's a trauma response. Now that I notice, I can't go back to not noticing. I can't. Being misunderstood, it is painful. It's a fear of any human being to be misunderstood. Because being misunderstood, yes, in certain cases, it can cost you your life. It's a very scary thing. Very, very scary thing. But you also have to notice that there are going to be some people that just want you when they just want you right there. They just want you suffering. They just want you, dressed a certain way, looking a certain way, this small, this size, based off of their comfort. And you cannot live your life like that. You just can't. You can't. Not when it takes away from your soul and your identity, right? I had uh sidebar, I had a Uber driver the other day and he was talking about how he's gotten written up before because how he was with passengers, something he said to a passenger, right? And he says, I just say whatever I want to say. And, I just straight up told him, well, you don't need to be working for Uber. You don't need to be working for nobody. All right. You might need to work for yourself because if you're just going to continue to break rules, then you're going to keep getting written up. You're going to ruin your reputation. So you need something that you could do where you're the boss and you call the shots. All right. And I also want to say you need a position where you have lawyers. Because, yeah, that type of personality, I'm a rule breaker myself, but, we have to learn, we have to know where we belong. And working someplace where you can get written up and fired, that's not going to be your cup of tea, okay? It just isn't. Now, listen, laws is great. Being polite is great. Having manners, being empathetic is wonderful. But if if you haven't reached that level or you feel like you would never reach that level of those things that I just named, you need to work for yourself, okay? But, you know, even me relating it to that person who is offensive to a lot of people and makes the decision to be, right? I could learn from 'em. Because if me just saying, "Hey, I don't like when you touch me like that," is offensive, right? You can't be in my space. Boundary. You're crossing the boundary. That's my agency. That's my personal space. I don't like being called a B word. Some women use it as a term of endearment. I don't use that as a term of endearment. Don't call me that. That's my boundary, right? Just laughing it off because we don't want to make the situation uncomfortable. Hey, you don't want to make the situation uncomfortable, pull that person to the side. Hey, like, we have to. We gotta take every opportunity that we possibly can to reteach people. We have to. We have to. We have to heal that wound. I have to heal that wound of me telling myself that my voice doesn't matter and me using my voice will cause people not to love me. A lot of them people need to go. Okay? And you can't be mad at somebody that you never told how you felt. If you told them how you feel, then you got every right. Every right. Every right. And you can acknowledge the effort. If they do something, for instance, some people don't like being called boy or girl. When, like, girl, let me tell you, or boy, you crazy. They don't like, if they're grown, they don't like being called that. Some people don't like it, right? I'm fine with it. But some people may not like it. If you use it in your everyday language, or the person that you're friends with use it in their everyday language, and they say, oh, my bad, right? Give them a chance, okay? Know that it's not coming from a dark place, but you're asking them to change their everyday language for you. And if you're the person like me that use girl, boy, then maybe, that may just be somebody that you can't have phone conversations with. You might need to just text that person. But don't silence yourself, and don't silence yourself, but also don't silence yourself if you're on either end. Don't silence yourself if you're on either end. Because also I do feel like if I'm somebody that use that in my everyday language and I don't you mean nothing by it, I would say give me time, or maybe just don't have those conversations with me, right? The B word, sometimes I let it slide sometimes, right? Sometimes I don't. Oftentimes it depends on the context. It depends on the context. And I usually look at people. I usually give people a look when they do that, and they usually back up. Sometimes I don't have to have the conversation. Like, that might be the one and only time that they do it. They see my look, see my response, and they just like, oh, I don't want to feel that again. So let me make sure. It is difficult, but it just I would say still just speak up. Still just speak up, right? You do not have to shapeshift for everything. You just don't. You just don't. And if you're experiencing it in your family, if you're experiencing it in your workplace, I know that is also difficult because that's usually the main place. You don't want nobody to feel uncomfortable based off of you shining your light too bright on yourself. That's the main place. It's very, very difficult. That's why I had to go. But if you're going to be there, make those people respect you. Do it. Have those conversations. Because it will attack your body. It will attack your sense of self, your self-esteem. You will get sick. Your blood pressure will raise. All those things would happen if you endure those things. 'Cause it's going to spill out somewhere, and oftentimes it's going to spill out on the wrong person who doesn't deserve it. Okay? Oftentimes it will. And if it's relationships, family, reciprocation is the thing, right? Yes, I know Pisces can have very high standards for relationships. Right? If you are starving and you hadn't eaten all day, Imma give you the last piece of chicken. I'll make sure you have the last piece. But I expect the same in return. I do. I truly do. If I'm willing to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to help you, I expect the same in return. I do. I do. Now, it's questionable whether I should be doing that for somebody else or which type of person I should do that for somebody else for. I think should only do that for somebody that I know for a fact will do that for me. That is it. That is all. That's the type of people I want around me. That's what I want. Reciprocal relationships. That'll be my close friends, or at least pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. Close friends. And this is a conversation I will bring up, like my standards for friends, to my friends. Whoever I'm calling friends, I'm going to have these conversations with them about what I require based off of this version of me. Family, what I require based off of this version of me. Reciprocals. Reciprocals. And let's see how they act. But I'm going to let them know first. Somebody texts me, asks me how I'm doing. I'm not going to say I'm fine when I'm not fine. And even if my normal is to go through whatever I'm going through and then tell people once I come out of it. But now it's going to be, if I haven't spoken to you in a while, you're going to know about that moment. You will. Because the people who say that they love me, they're going to hold the same stuff that I hold for them. No longer disappearing. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to, for sure, ask yourself how you are performing and how you are not protecting your peace. You're trying to protect other people's peace, but you're not protecting your own. How are you not protecting your own peace? Where are you disappearing, right? Where do you feel yourself becoming smaller? And how can you now show up for yourself? What would you tell somebody else that you felt needed to stick up for themselves and their boundary and their voice? Tell that to yourself, right? What's one place that you feel as though you're going to practice being visible this week, this year? I know I'm practicing it on social media. I'm practicing it on conversations with friends, how I show up. I'm practicing it in my relationships, my marriage, my family, right? Replace the old lies about yourself. Replace them with something positive, with the truth. And what type of people, sometimes if you can't retrain those people that are in your space, sometimes you got to create a whole new space and attract the people who are ready for this version of you. It's okay to do that no matter what stage in life you're in. Doesn't matter. Do it. You deserve it. If you're going to be here, you want to make sure you give it your best shot. Why be here and not give it your all? Give it your all. Try everything. Try everything to create your heaven here on this earth. But you can't do that if you don't show up, right? You don't have to become harsh with people. You don't have to become mean to people. You don't have to cut everybody off. You could just put them in certain boxes. Put them in certain spaces that protect your peace, right? Not anything that tears away from them, of course. It can't be, don't come to my house when you got orange on. I hate orange. No, can't be doing too much there. You're doing too much. All right? Doing too much. It's more of if we having a potluck, you're gonna have to bring something. You can't just come and eat. All right? That's better than, the other things. You just can't be friends with that person. Their favorite color is orange. You hate orange. I don't know. Maybe you just need to just have conversations over the phone and not, I have no idea what to do about that. But you know what I mean. Start speaking up. Start showing up for yourself. Don't do it for you. Do it for the person who's going to come behind you. Right? Okay. So That's it for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Not compliment, sorry. Comment below. Comment below what your disappearing pattern was. Subscribe, okay? Comment below where you are going to start showing up. If you related to anything that we talked about in this episode, okay? Wherever you're seeing this, follow me on all the things, the YouTube, the Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Follow, subscribe, okay? Do that. And until next time, thank you all for listening. And remember to give yourself permission to not just live, but to live and be great.